This message is my attempt to write from the perspective of the average American citizen. Were I to chastise others for taking little or no interest in our political process, but then fail to voice my opinion as to where I see our nation heading, I become another of the uninvolved, forfeiting my right to criticize. I leave to you, the viewer, whether my words have value. I am neither a writer by trade nor a man of letters. I am a former Internal Revenue Service agent. I have held state, county, and federal jobs. I managed a unit of a national insurance company, and for the last 42 years, I have been a realtor. I am a husband, a father. I am a brother, an uncle, a proud veteran, and a friend. I am liberal, but only with my time. I share willingly my knowledge and experience gathered at this point in my life. I am conservative when handling the money and property of others. I reserve the right to give or not, without interference or direction from the government, labor unions, or organizations of any stripe. First, let me reaffirm that to maintain what our founders formed nearly 237 years ago, that we are not a perfect union, and perfection is not at hand, and likely never will be. However, we remain in full pursuit of that ideal. Let me also reaffirm that to fulfill the establishment of justice, we fought a revolution to give birth to a new nation where the seeds of idealism can be planted in the fertile soil of freedom. Then, 85 years later, we began a civil war that lasted 4 long and brutal and bloody years, during which we suffered many deaths, hundreds of thousands of deaths, and it ended with the Emancipation Proclamation and the assassination of our 16th president. We went on to establish justice with a succession of civil rights, fair housing, and Americans with Disabilities Act. We promulgate and legislate remedies at all levels of government to correct injustices past and present, as part of an ongoing process to maintain the liberties and freedoms on which our republic was founded. Let me also reaffirm our efforts to ensure domestic tranquility by the vigilance of our citizens and a firm hold on our First Amendment right. We must take individual responsibility to remain law-abiding, yet ready to call into question any abuse by those within our government agencies, the representatives we send to the halls of power to echo our voices in the chambers of the United States Congress. We reaffirm our commitment to provide for the common defense by safeguarding our right to bear arms, to maintain a well-trained, well-armed military, to promote the general welfare, but not to grow our government beyond our ability to control it. We cannot maintain the general welfare of the population by continuing to add to an ever-growing mound of national and international debt. In my opinion, the best way to reaffirm and ensure the blessings of liberty is simply to maintain and protect the liberty and freedom we have now. We need to appreciate the power and the scope of our ballot. The people we put in power in the next election must be the best our nation has to offer. They need not necessarily be part and parcel of a well-rooted Congress. And the truth be told, they probably will be, given the redundancy of incumbency. We seem to constantly reward inaction with re-election. Folks, I fervently hope that we are awakening and coming to understand that looking to tomorrow with hope and purpose is but one direction. There are 3 others. We need to abandon the idiotic premise that what we've built is viewed by the world as the centerpiece of humanity. Folks, a vast number of our own citizens haven't the vaguest idea of what America is, how it came to be, who our national leaders are, or how our government is constituted. It is apparent to me that our elections are not elections at all, but re-elections, and that complacency of the voters results in what I had mentioned earlier as the redundancy of incumbency. I know that statistically The numbers change by minimal percentages, but the average holds around 90 to 94%. It is imperative that we first understand what an American is. Theodore Roosevelt, our 26th president, delivered a speech in which he defined his idea and his belief of what an American is and what America is. Allow me to quote. In the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated on an exact equality with everyone else. For it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed or birthplace or origin. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but something else isn't an American at all. We have room for but one flag, that is the American flag. We have room for but one language, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is the loyalty to the American people. Theodore Roosevelt, 1907, close quote. So, to be true to our global invitation etched on the base of our Statue of Liberty, we welcome the tired, and we welcome the poor. We welcome the huddled masses. We welcome everyone yearning to breathe free. But we are a nation of immigrants, and we've come to that recognition. But also remember that we are a nation of laws, and they must be uniformly and fairly applied. The ages have shown that we humans are unlike any other kind of creature to have walked the corridors of time. In spite of our best efforts to right the wrongs inherent in our founding, our national identity will be that we are, for the most part, a collection of compassionate, caring people, independently possessing varying degrees of tolerance, or none at all. Together, in furtherance of those principles of liberty and freedom, we have come together time after time. You see, I go back to what I said earlier, that the world doesn't see us as the centerpiece of humanity, because most of the world doesn't know what freedom is. As an American, our loyalty is to one another, our allegiance to an idea that allows for idealism, allows for an unfettered expansion of our own belief system, our own ideas, our own free enterprise. Our ballot is our voice, and we have every right to expect honesty and integrity from our representatives. We are entrusting him or her to have at heart the best interest of our nation. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. As a country of more than 320 million people, our ballot enrolls us in a process that renews our body politic. Countless men and women have given their lives to safeguard our sacred right to vote. I implore you not to dishonor them on Election Day. America has inspired the world since July the 4th of 1776, day one of our founding. Our ballot is an ember forged in rebellion. Allow me to repeat that and imprint it on your mind. Our ballot is an ember forged in rebellion, and we must guard it as though our lives depend upon it, which, as current events and past events have proven, it does. Our voice, our vote, our future, our family hang in the balance. We the people are, in my opinion, the three most iconic words in our history. They are emblazoned across our founding documents and often repeated by subsequent generations. And again, in my humble opinion, we, the people, are the only group in America too big to fail. Listen closely to me, America. If we fail, then in our fall will follow the meek and the mighty. If we, the people, fail, then in our fall will follow the helpless and the homeless. And if we, the people, fail, then in our fall the torch of Lady Liberty will fade, and that flickering flame of freedom will cast a sorrowful shadow from sea to shining sea. If we, the people, fail, then in our fall the hope of nations emboldened by America, those drawn to the light of liberty and freedom, may be those ready to rise up and stand defiantly in the face of oppression. Those ready to dictate to the dictators that only through liberty and freedom can there be dignity and safety in the pursuit of happiness. I need our now president to sound a clarion call for all Americans to embrace, and I mean fully embrace, proudly embrace, defiantly embrace the politics of our cause. Liberty, freedom, and independence. All of us must be believers in the politics of our American cause. I do not need our now Congress to tell me about their latest political action committee or how many donors they are bundling money from. I need our now Congress to be the political action committee of we the people. I do not need our now Congress to ask me to be a donor. I am a donor. I've always been a donor. I am donating my time, my being, my very essence to our decaying, dying body politic. And to paraphrase the great Bob Dylan, and I quote, "Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway and don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There is a war outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changing." America, we had better start swimming to save our decaying, crumbling republic, or it will certainly sink like a stone. The times have been changing. But it seems the only time we look back is when we want to erase something that made us feel uncomfortable. Our past is nothing more than life lived. If we hadn't lived it and learned from it, we wouldn't be in constant pursuit of that elusive perfect union. We need to keep our eyes wide open and focused. Our enemies are no longer perceptions. They are real, borderless predators with declared intent to bring down Western civilization. Speaking for myself, I'm tired of hearing politically generational regurgitation from the fathers and sons, the daughters and wives of politicians who are simply repeating the mantras of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. My God, America, we are in the first century of a new millennium, yet we stand squarely in the middle of decades issues old. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your viewing. Look with me tomorrow for hope for the American future. Thank you. Good night, and may God bless us.